Yeah, yeah. I should get an award for how many times I'm like right about my predictions and stuff. If I did, it would be like winning the lottery, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's Monday, a new week, new beginnings, but unfortunately, the rest of the world is dragging their feet. Like, what's wrong? I thought you wanted a new leader. I thought Iran was free. The people were free. They're celebrating. They're dancing, doing their sexy belly dancing. The Jews are jumping in. They're dancing along too. People are waving the American flag, the Iranian, well, the Persian flag, and then the Israeli flag. Oh, and despite all the bad press that Jeffy Eppy got, the Jeff Epster, Israel saved the day. And it's like it's kind of like rubbing the face of all these supposed moderate and for the like stability and justice of the world leaders. Like they're just bullshit. Like all they're caring about is the status quo and lining their pockets with all that, illicit funds. Monday. And then, much as I and most likely pretty much everybody, like I think like everybody, excuse me, had a prediction. Yeah, sorry about that. I got something caught in my throat. But like, yeah, everybody probably predicted like the sleeper cells were going to be activated, and like all these people are acting up a fool. One guy's like calling in like some like thing on an airplane. Another guy's like doing something with like in New York. He tosses a bomb, and like the mayor doesn't even want to call it like Islamic terrorists. He's like, I don't know if I said this before in my last video. I was just like, pointing out like just like randomly like all these attacks are popping off everywhere. But you know what else I was right about? That's right. I was right about the homosexual man loving in their culture. Like they're trying to suppress it. They don't want you to know about it. There's this video. I don't even want to name the guy who like, just like, yo, this is some story I'm making up for some reason. It's a made up story. Some like random like I don't know if it was a Paki or a Bengali guy goes up to some like random black dude and he's like, yo, let me suck your dick. And I think like the black guy was like an Uber or like a DoorDash driver. I mean, delivery, whatever. He was on a bike by that. And the guy had to get on his phone and film it just so like people would like believe him and shit. You know what I mean? Because it's just like like it's just so out of left field. Like how do you even like how to deal with something like that? Somebody comes up to you and says, let me do that to you, another man to man, and just like I don't know what to say, man. Like, but then ask yourself something. If this guy is coming over from there and he's acting like that, like what about the rest of them? And this is what these guys are so desperate to avoid. Like they're going out of their way. Like there's this huge ass documentary on Jaskarat Sidhu. He's trying desperately to stay in Canada or like sympathy vote, like doing all these shisty ass things and shit. Because he knows if he goes back home, it's nothing for him there. It's just barren wasteland and man's like raping him in the ass and shit, going man deep. His country of origin and shit, and he can't raise his kids because he's like he killed all these other people's kids and shit. And he's just like he wants the sympathy. What are these fucking rat people, man? Subhuman garbage. Like I told you, this is how it's gonna play out, man. First, you know the um, the illusion, if you will. Because let's be honest, the only reason that these fuckers are here is because it's cheap workforce. That's it. They're not necessarily the most like scientific minds and like innovations coming from their like places of origin. No, man, they're dirt fucking poor. They literally cause the pollution, right? And then like spread it pretty much everywhere that they go. and it's messed up. Like how like New York, like that's like New York is like the beacon of like health and hygiene. You know, it's like has its like issues with its rats and other infestations and shit, right? But now with like Mamdani, there's no like proper garbage pickup. There's no proper snow removal, and now there's like no proper condemnations of terrorists. And like these guys, I told you so many times. Sorry if I'm like condescending you, but like I hate to sound like a broken record, but these guys get off on this. It's their fucking how should I put this? They can't have true love. They can't have kids without, birth defects or, mental whatever, right? They can't have, you know, just a normal ass life, like they have to live in that very curated, very uh fanatical way of life, right? So what are they gonna do, man? Well, obviously they're going to make your life worse, subsequently making like your children's life worse, and like making society's life worse until it's like an ongoing thing. Till like you have to look at it from a very, very honest perspective. Like the only reason that they have gotten away with all the shit that they've gotten away with is because you care so much about the conventions of society and normalcy. Like think about that for a second. When you really break it down, it's all because of the limitations. The limitations on like how much you can achieve. And not gonna like limit this to one gender because I think both genders can um to a level of degree. Like I think guys have more of a success rate because a guy like can get several women, pregnant with his kid, whereas a girl with multiple guys has to like basically wait out the whole 9 month plus period to have like another kid. But I'm not gonna rule that out. But I'm like saying this for the sake of the process of elimination. Like in the past, you'd have an issue with like a guy who was like this. It'd be like, oh my god, he's just seeing this guy, and I mean, sorry, this girl. Well, for the girls, it'd be like with guys, but it's just like he's seeing all these multiple people, and it's just like wrong. He doesn't love my daughter. I don't know if I can trust him. But that's like now in this day and age, it's like who's gonna question you? Like if you have the money and you have the ability to do it, I think you should. Like, there's gonna be a breaking point with you and the missus, and I'm just saying this is a maybe, like a very strong possibility. Um, she's just not gonna want to have any more kids, or she can't have any more kids because of health complications, and like, you know, I don't really consider it, but like, imagine you had something your whole life, this beautiful body, and then like you had like, two kids, and then coming up to the third kid, and you just like lose it. Well, it never comes back. And of course, like I could be incorrect about that. It could be like 3 kids, 4 kids. It could be doesn't mean anything. Like it could just be like up to me, in my opinion, over what I want to achieve. But I'm like saying for like the pragmatic solution to how we're gonna solve this kind of problem because these guys are getting so fucking desperate for the, you know what I mean? Like think about it like this, right? You had this entire country, and I didn't even know it was this bad, right? So I was watching this Israeli. Yeah, I'm gonna stop naming channel names because I think that like we have something of a bit of an incitement mob where I bring up somebody's name and then he's got a big ass target on their back or she's got a big ass target on her back and it's just man, not anymore. Fuck this. We gotta go to war and we gotta play like it's like Black Ops, man. Use codes and shit. Use code name YouTuber. And it's just like I said, but even worse, if you could believe it. So one of the leaders, right? This guy who apparently, and this is like recently, supposedly, apparently he survived the assassination attempt by the Israelis and American Air Force, and he's having a wedding with his daughter, right? And this is what you gotta like. This is the takeaway. So in Iran, you're not allowed to have like any type of skin exposure. Like you're supposed to, you actually cover your shoulders. I think it's like up to your ankles or whatever, right? Like I don't know if to like let you, if it's like down for your knees because it's like the desert. But like imagine it's just like some like pioneer type Amish shit, some prospector ass shit. But like the reason why I bring this up is because he has this daughter and she's dressed in this Western wedding dress, shoulders exposed, no wedding veil, like her hair's out. Like it's just 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 trash. And then when you realize that like it's more of the same rules for thee, not for me, it makes so much more sense. Like you stop getting angry. Excuse me. Like I was seeing this like news segment popping up on City TV News where it's like Iran has selected the new leader. It's Khamenei's son. I was just like, really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure that's like something that you're trying to like repeat because you want some like cheap gas and shit? Yeah, and like Russia's trying to step in and say, "Yo, this is terrible. Like you should respect the sovereignty of Iran and its ability to like slaughter tens of thousands of people." Like this is what I hate the most, right? This is why one of the reasons why I had to make this video like 25 minutes, 25, 41 seconds, right? Um, I was watching this like YouTuber. I was watching a lot of right wing YouTubers. So one this one in particular, and he went in on Israel, on the Jews, the whole conspiracy. I think the three biggest points of contention was like a sinking of some kind of ship um off of the coast of like Lebanon. It was like to instigate some kind of war to get Americans to jump in. And then when they found out, they tried to cover it up, and it was just like, oh no, right? Another one was, this was like a pretty big one, and I kind of agree. Like, not necessarily to blame all the Jews, but like it is a Jewish problem. Like the creation of communism and the overthrowing of the Romanov family, the murdering of them. They funded it. They created the government institution that tried to remove the power of the church and the state, which was at the time the status quo, and then became disassembled. They burnt down churches, slaughtered the clergy, priests, etc. Right? History, but under the bridge and stuff. But like you can understand where the animosity of people against the Jews come from. It's but I'm gonna get to that, right? And then it's like over the years, right? 9/11, you see some of these Jews celebrating it. They're like, oh, now you guys know what it's like to be like us, getting your buildings blown up and stuff, and then dancing and shit. Well, just some, not all. You just gotta point that out because it's like, oh, it's very suspicious that these Jews are like this. So it's like, yeah, there are dark Jews. There are guys who still worship Baal. Okay, what the fuck is Baal? I don't know what fucking Baal is. Apparently, like Epstein has like a fucking statue of him and shit. And you think that's all? Do you think, you think it stops at them? Guess what? That's right. The Iranians. That's right. They worship Baal too. They had like a statue of Baal and they were burning it in effigy because that's how you worship this guy, right? You burn, you have orgies, and you have human sacrifices. Ideally, you do all three. It's just like he's such a popular guy from before Christ, before what the fuck, man? It's just like how the fuck does this like stupid ass like demon ass worship some berserk ass shit summoning like the fucking god hand and stuff. How does this like survive for so long? Well, possibly because that's like what they're trying to do, trying to like do some anime shit. I mean, dark anime shit, not the fucking good one, not the fucking kid one. Fucking the ones that like people make and then they commit suicide or like they die of natural causes or unnatural causes. It's just too much. You gotta play your cards right. Like see like what I'm doing right now. So right, I win. But like more to the point, like they've lost their complete and like absolute dictatorial hold on women and the human race in general. Now they have to compete with everybody at the fair means. Like and what makes this worse, right? Can you imagine? You go to school one day, right? And you're brand new to this school, and your mom takes you, and instead of just like dropping you off, she goes up to everybody and introduces you to them and says, "My boy's very, very nice." Just to everybody, very, very nice. This is my son. He's like a very, very nice boy. You be nice to him now. Like, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen? Now, what do you think is gonna happen to all of these minorities, air quotes, who have special preferential treatment? You see a lot of them getting hired for all these ass jobs, man. And it's just like, oh, we need a more diversified police force. We need a more diversified, whatever. This is our first, whatever, hockey player or baseball, whatever. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and they'll make a big deal about it. They're like, oh, it's the best thing in the world for us. We're the best. No, you're not. You suck dick. And your country is full of all these homosexuals who want to rape kids. Because that's what you come from. You're scum of the earth. Like, the craziest part about that is how they have to go to such lengths to try to convince people otherwise. And even though you could argue that a lot of people, well, most likely myself, for me personally, it was because like my last name was being involved and included in a lot of these, incidents, right? So it's like more or less personal for me, and I understand that's like a clause that won't apply to pretty much everybody else. Like I wouldn't put it by me that like there's another guy with the last name saying it's just like, oh fuck all these like Sikhs and shit, dragging my last name down with all these fucking pedophilic child rapes and grooming gangs and shit, trying to like feign innocence and stuff, like having the government jump in. Jaskar Jaj has his whole fucking like name brought out of like the fucking public, awareness and stuff. Like outside UK, right? In the UK back in the day, when he was like popping off with all of this shit and he was like making like, BBC documentaries. Because it just goes to show how different, like, I'm not saying like nobody knows about it in North America, so that like side. But it's just like they brought it out of circulation, this and that, and they're just like, okay, we'll just bury this story because it's just like, these Sikhs, they're a minority and stuff, right? Like Mamdani is just like, okay, this right wing protests, they bring out these agitators who threw an incendiary device. He's just like he puts it in the like the lightest terms possible, dude. It was a nail bomb. If it went off because the fuse fizzed out, because the guy who made it is most likely retarded. Like they look inbred. Right? I told you the coons. The coons are the first ones. Um, Nails would have exploded and most likely killed or maimed police officers. The ones that unfortunately have to protect your stupid ass. But more to the point, what you need to do, the number one thing you need to do is to be attractive to women. And to do that, you need to basically exercise to the point where you reach your anabolic phase. Sorry, I'm just like a little bit on the oh no, boom. on the whatever side. Don't try this at home. But um, you want to do that, and then you also want to, because of like in light of all these incidences and occurrences like terrorist attacks and instigations by not only like people of that ethnicity, but like people who are very much curbed into this belief, like I was saying about this YouTuber guy, right? He basically was going in on these Jews while ignoring the fact that like Christians and other ethnicities were getting murdered worldwide by the Muslims, like in various places, like the Armenian genocide, the whole partition with Pakistan. Like it's just like glossing it over is just so fucking like ideal, right? Where you make it out as the Muslims are the lesser of two evils against the Jews. And I'm not trying to like excuse the things that, happen against American people. I can understand that like, people want to hold on to these, things from the past. But like when you think about it like this, right? If you want to have a very large family and you can afford to have a very large family, right? You should do that and not so much care about um, what other people think or do or whatever, because these women, they need you, right? And likewise, there's like a lot of like you know guys who are down in their luck, they're weak, whatever, and they can use a strong woman who will spend time with him and other men, and this is the fate of like some of these guys. Like I honestly think that's a better alternative to like, you're just so horny, you're just randomly going up to a guy and like saying, yo, I wanna suck your dick. Like what? Like I honestly like dude, you know what I mean? I honestly said it thinking to myself that like, yeah, I'm just talking shit. There's no it did happen. And they are like this. And it has happened in the Middle East. Like this is the thing that I hate about this. It's so fucking batshit insane that I'm constantly telling myself, did this actually happen? No, I'm just being racist. No, there's no way. No, actually it did happen. And I have to um, rationalized like how much of a grasp that they had, like, and it makes so much sense, the whole LGBT movement and the whole constant like outrage against you, it seems so parallel to their actions, right? And then you have other ethnicities like jumping in. You have like, not just the Sikhs, but like, yo, so like other ethnicities too. Like they do the exact same thing. It's like they want you to feel slighted for shit that you weren't even born or you weren't even around to know that happened to them, and then they want to just hold it against you. And then like when you think about what they are, they're fodder. They're the ones that are like the shields of these very weak and pathetic men. They are the spawn of like scum. And you can just replace the entire human race with better people. You just have to assert yourself. That's all you need to do. Exercise, take good care of yourself and your hygiene, um, and do it for the sole purpose of helping people out. Like, it's gonna feel hard, especially for them, to know that like you're doing this and it's going to screw with like a lot of people's lives and stuff. Not just like the people who potentially want to fall in love with these individuals, but also the families who are involved and stuff. And like in the past, that would be an issue, but like that's what I'm getting at. Like you win by it not caring. You have to stop caring. Like you have to stop caring about this limitation. You have to stop caring about forcing your wife to have a bunch of kids and have a very large family and stuff like that, Or like, what if you don't, right? Like, that's the whole worry. That's the whole issue. And like, like I said, they get off on this, right? They're like, oh, we're gonna replace you. You're not having any kids. We're gonna replace you. And then they shit out like fucking, all these kids, and they're fucking, they're a burden, not only on like, whatever, but like, you worry about them. Because it's like, okay, think about it like this, right? If you turn back the clock on this, like 19 years, so that would mean that this guy was basically born in 2007, man. Like, what the fuck, eh? Like, it's a U.S. breed of terrorists, the foot soldiers. But that's why they lost, because how are they going to make people want to be with them anymore?